जय राधा कालाचंजी राधा कालाचंजी राधे। जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे। जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा। जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय जय गौरानीताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 25. Is the verse. Yeah. संवर्धयन्ति यत्कामः स्वराज्य परिभावितः दुर्लभानापि सिद्धानां मुकुन्दं हृदि पश्यतः। संवर्धयन्ति यत्कामः स्वराज्य परिभाविता दुर्लभानापि सिद्धानां मुकुन्दं हृदि पश्यतः। Please, those who want to repeat. संवर्धयन्ति यत्कामः स्वराज्य परिभावितः दुर्लभानापि सिद्धानां मुकुन्दं हृदि पश्यतः। संवर्धयन्ति यत्कामः स्वराज्य परिभावितः दुर्लभानापि सिद्धानां मुकुन्दं हृदि पश्यतः। संवर्धयन्ति यत्कामः स्वराज्य परिभावितः। दुर्लभानापि सिद्धानां मुकुन्दं हृदि पश्यतः संवर्धयन्ति यत्कामः स्वराज्य परिभावितः। दुर्लभानापि सिद्धानां मुकुन्दं हृदि पश्यतः संवर्धयन्ति यत्कामः स्वराज्य परिभावितः। दुर्लभानापि सिद्धानां मुकुन्दं हृदि पश्यतः। Okay, so we'll take Samvardhayanti, increase happiness. Yat, because Kamaha, such aspirations. Swarajya, situated in his own constitutional position of rendering service to the Lord. Paribhavitaha, saturated with such aspirations. Durlabhaha, very rarely obtained. Na, not. Api, also. Siddhanam, of the great mystics. Mukundam, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hridi, within the core of the heart. Pashyataha, persons always accustomed to seeing him. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Those who are saturated with the transcendental happiness of rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead are uninterested even in the achievements of great mystics, for such achievements do not enhance the transcendental bliss felt by a devotee who always thinks of Krishna within the core of his heart. Purport. A pure devotee is uninterested not only in elevation to the higher planetary systems, but even in the perfections of mystic yoga. Real perfection is devotional service. The happiness derived from merging in the impersonal Brahman and the happiness derived from the 8 perfections of mystic yoga, anima, laghima, prapti and so on, do not give any pleasure to the devotee. As stated by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, Kaivalyam narakayate tridasha purakasha pushpayate durdan triyakala sarpa patali prothkhata damstrayate Vishwam purna sukhayate vidhi mahandraidascha kitayate yatkarunya kataksha vaibhavatam tam gaurameva stumaha. When a devotee has achieved the position of rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, he thinks the impersonal Brahman to be no better than hell, and he regards material happiness in the heavenly planets to be like a will-o-wisp. As far as the perfection of mystic powers is concerned, a devotee compares it to the venomous snake with no teeth. A mystic yogi is especially concerned with controlling the senses. But because the senses of a devotee are engaged in the service of the Lord, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakter Uchyate, there is no need for separate control of the senses. For those who are materially engaged, control of the senses is required, but a devotee's senses are always engaged in the service of the Lord, which means that they are already controlled. Param drishtva nivartate. A devotee's senses are not attracted by material enjoyment, and even though the material world is full of misery, a devotee considers this material world to be also spiritual because everything is engaged in the service of the Lord. The difference between the spiritual and material world is the mentality of service. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. When there is no mentality of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's activities are material. Prapakincha taya buhaya hari sambandhi vastunaha mumukshabhi parityago vairagyam phalukatyate. That which is engaged in the service of the Lord is not material, and nothing thus engaged should be given up. In the construction of a high skyscraper, in the construction of a temple, there may be the same enthusiasm, but the endeavors are different. For one is material and the other spiritual. Spiritual activities should not be confused with material activities and given up. Nothing connected with Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is material. A devotee who considers all this is always situated in spiritual activities, and therefore he is no longer attracted by material activities. Param drishtva nivartate. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we can see that in this actually chapter and the verses, Ambarish Maharaj was already a dedicated Bhagavata whose heart and soul was always to the pleasure of Sri Krishna. And even his citizens had actually the same dedication by devotion, by engaging in devotional activities actually. And we can see in this wonderful composition by Prabhupada Saraswati, he says, Yat Karunya Kataksha Vaibhavatam. So, as it said, when one receives the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is called Kataksham, Karunyam is that which is mercy, which is flowing. But Kataksham is that which is the sight, the glance. It is not just vision what we see. It is the merciful glance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is what actually helps us elevate in devotional service and improve our consciousness. Similarly, in order to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kataksham, one has to obtain Sri Nityananda's Kataksham first. So, if we see about Kataksham, that is very important in our Vaishnava lineage and how it is explained about devotional service. As also in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, in this purport we see very important work is called Mumukshabhihi. So Mumukshaha in Sanskrit means one who is actually desiring liberation. A word liberation doesn't mean just material liberation. It is liberating oneself from this body and material universe to engage ourselves in the eternal service of Sri Radha and Krishna. And that is why all of us are actually, as written in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, we are all Mumukshahas. And in order to understand, it says Parityago as Anukulya Sankalpasya Pratikulpa Varjanam. We decide what is more dear to us in our service, and we keep those objects and we keep those people close to us, because that which is engaged will help us elevate. So one of the thing about Kataksham we see today is an auspicious day because it is disappearance day of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Krishna Das Kavidas Goswami, who is the compositor of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we will take a little bit of examples of Raghunath Das Goswami's, how he received the Kataksham of Sri Nityananda Prabhu first and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as we know, Raghunath Das Goswami was born in a family of Vaishnavas in 1494. And his father was very wealthy in those days. His father's name was Govardhan Mujumdar, was a very wealthy landowner in Krishnapur. And it so happened that those days, about their income of the tax, like they used to get, their job was to give all these earnings to the Nawab. And they used to earn about 20 lakhs. And actually what they owed the Nawab was only 12. So really the income of their household was 8 lakhs, which is very, very high in those days. So in spite of all of this, the Mujumdar family was very devout Vaishnavas. And whenever they could serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they would always do. So Raghunath Das Goswami was very fortunate in his childhood because he got association of stalwart Bhagavatas like Yadunanda Acharya, who was disciple of Advaita Acharya, and Balaram Acharya was their family priest. Now, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur resided actually for some days at a place not far from his home. So every time Haridas Thakur would be invited, he would get actually this mercy of seeing Raghunath Das Goswami got the mercy of seeing Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur, with his deep devotion to the holy name of Sri Krishna, he could see the love which is flowing, which is blossoming like a lotus in Raghunath Das Goswami. And actually whenever Haridas Thakur would associate, he actually would give that blessing and mercy. This karunyam, what we say is mercy, would flow actually to him. And also when he was 15 years old, he attained darshana, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when actually staying at the residence of Advaita Acharya. By that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already accepted sannyasa. So we can see that how, in spite of this, Raghunath Das Goswami would run away from his home because he was so attached to Jagannath Puri, he was so attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And somehow his parents would find him back because he was the only legitimate heir in their family, actually speaking. So it would so happen that things became so worse that his fathers employed guards to make sure that they keep him, bind to this material life. And they also were Vaishnavas, but they desired that their son should, be in this Grahastha frame and also serve the Vaishnavas and execute Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is what they wanted. But Raghunath Das Goswami had different intentions. His intentions were to dedicate his life fully to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And for 4 years on, Mahaprabhu met Raghunath Das Goswami. And at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come from finishing his Santipur tour. And hearing this, Raghunath Das Goswami could not hold his excitement to see. He actually surrendered to the lotus feet and renounced. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him that no, you continue staying where you are, and then when the time comes, you can come and serve me. Now the question asked is this: is Raghunath Das Goswami not enough to receive the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that stage? The answer is actually no, he always was. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decides when it is the right time for someone sometimes. And we are not at that level of Raghunath Das Goswami. We should actually take opportunity at the first moment itself, because we are materially conditioned souls. For Raghunath Das Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, Stirahane gharo yao na halo vatula krame krame payaloka bhavasindukula. So you return now and continue doing your devotional service at home, and eventually you will be able. So question is this: why is that? What is Nishtha? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to teach us the example of Nishtha through Raghunath Das Goswami. It doesn't mean we abandon everything. No, sometimes we are situated in our lives, in our material life. I may be a professional, but our inner heart should be dedicated to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Krishna Chandra. That's how it should be. So, Anthare Nishtha Kara Bhaya Loke Vyavahara. Externally we may be living, but internally Achirat Krishna Toma Karibe Uddhara. Internally the Nishtha should always be there. That flame should always be growing. That when we hanker and meet Sri Krishna, when we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so is having Nishtha such an easy thing? What is Nishtha? It is called immovable firm resolution, that no matter what, I will always hold to Sri Krishna's feet. And it only comes with Shraddha, because when Shraddha becomes firm, it becomes nishtha actually. And this is why we need karuna, mercy flowing from Sri Nityanand Prabhu. When we are actually sincere, Bhagwan Sri Krishna will make arrangements for us to enter this bhajana. Now, did Raghunath Das Goswami could able to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of his own accord? No. He got actually the blessing of Haridas Thakura. Why? Because he was always visiting, he was serving Vaishnava Acharyas. And every time we get this Sthane sthite shruti gatam tanovo manobhir ye prayasho jito jito apiyasi tais trilokam. Whenever we hear opportunity to associate, spend time with those realized souls of personalities who are either engaging in Harikatha, who are directly serving Sri Krishna, or as a spiritual master, or whichever way, we should take advantage of this. So, in the short time itself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made this arrangement. And then what happened? Eventually, it so happened that there was, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Raghunath Das Goswami to go back to his home, he took care. There are a lot of other pastimes which happens. But then, one of the most beautiful pastimes which happened where actually Raghunath Das Goswami received the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But first he got Nityanand Prabhu's mercy. Because as we know, the festival of Panihati Tahi Chida festival happened. And it so happened that when Nityanand Prabhu and his associates returned to Bengal, they became the guests of Raghava Pandit. So they decided that this is the time all the Bhagavatas, they want to have ecstatic kirtana. And this kirtana happened, and they used to discuss katha about showering ecstatic Krishna prema without any consideration actually. And it was here at the Panihati that Raghunath Das Goswami received the causeless mercy of Nityanand Prabhu. Hearing the news of Nityanand Prabhu's arrival, Raghunath Das Goswami wanted to go and seek his blessings. His father was very, very reluctant because he feared his son would again run away from home. So he made sure guards are protected. So eventually, when Raghunath Das Goswami saw Nityanand Prabhu, seeing Nityanand Prabhu first, taking his name itself is merciful. But imagine able to see with his eyes, and even for us, to see Nityanand Prabhu sitting in the bank of the Ganges, clothed in blue sapphire attire, his matted locks flowing. It actually contaminated, and he felt that Nityanand Prabhu is so pure. As Narottama Das Thakur writes in a poem, Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Susitala. Padakamala is like Koti Chandra, is so soothing, of millions of moons. The nectar and ambrosia of millions of moons just flowing together, and the fragrance of the moon itself flowing, is how Raghunath Das Goswami actually experienced. So, Nityanand Prabhu blessed Raghunath that his desire will be very well fulfilled. And he said that Swarupera sthane toma karibe samarpane antarang bhritya bali rakhibe charane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will accept you and place you under the charge of his secretary Swarup Damodara. You will become thus one of the most confidential internal servants and attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we can see, Nityanand Mahaprabhu did not place Raghunath Das Goswami directly saying that you will be under direct shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He placed him under the service of Swarup Damodara. Why? Because Dasa Dasa Anudas. Only when we serve the servant of the servant, when we serve the lotus feet, and the devotees and Bhagavatas who serve the lotus feet of the Lord, we can get the essence of the taste. Just like you can take a sugar cane, but the more you twist the sugar cane and more you squeeze out of it, the more the juice will become sweeter. This is the essence of devotional service. That when we associate with those Bhagavatas who are always hearing, chanting, in their heart, this love for Krishna is flowing, That is what happens. So you can see that Nityananda Prabhu blesses, and it so happens in the past time. After all of this, when Raghava Pandit has offered all the food and deity, he makes a separate offering to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And every day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come and eat in Raghava Pandit's home. And this would give the opportunity for Raghava Pandit to bring prasadam, distribute, and Raghunath Das Goswami was also actually waiting for the remnants. So we can see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blesses Raghunath Das Goswami. It so happens, eventually Raghunath Das Goswami's parents get him married and they try to bind him, but eventually they realize there is so much pastime present, but in a concise way, that once it so happens that his family priest Balaram Acharya's personal servant of their deities is going away, so he asked Raghunath Das Goswami to come, and eventually it so happens that Raghunath Das Goswami now has made up his mind that this is the time. Now the answer to the question comes is, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the explanation to Raghunath Das Goswami, you stay at your home, be grahastha and continue doing. So did Raghunath Das Goswami take the effort himself to take it? No. The order came from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now is the time, because sarvascha chaham hridi sannivishto vedescha sarvair aham eva vedyo. Sri Krishna is present in all of us, but we need a guru. We need someone who is an acharya or a stalwart devotee who can guide us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his eternal associates are eternal Nitya Siddhas, but for us we need association of Bhagavatas who can guide us the right way. We should never try to imitate. We should emulate Sri Raghunath Das Goswami actually. So we can see that eventually Raghunath Das Goswami goes to Jagannath Puri, he escapes. His parents send the guards, he goes back and forth, and finally after only eating thrice for 12 days, he reaches Jagannath Puri and he places Raghunath Das Goswami in the care of Swarup Damodara, and this is so ecstatic. So initially Raghunath Das Goswami was coming from such a opulent family, and then he actually only started sitting. If you go to Jagannath temple, initially he was sitting in the front gate, Simradhara, without any prestige. He was begging, but then he felt, I should not even beg, let it come out of its own accord. This is called true Bhagavata's devotional service. Now we, as I said, we cannot emulate, we can only emulate this. In Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu it says, cultivation of Krishna activities is called Krishnanushilanaha. One is called Cheshta Rupaha, which is endeavors. One is Bhava Rupaha, which is spiritual sentiments. Then there is Sadhana Rupaha. All of us, we do sadhana in the stage leading to Bhava. And there is Karya Rupaha, endeavors that manifest as attainment of Bhava, Anubhava, Satvika Bhavas, the limbs of Bhakti. Bhakti has every limb, and everything actually comes as Karya Rupa. There is Pravritti, which is performance of positive attitude, positive activities. We come to the temple, we chant his name, we see the arati, we offer something to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and that we know we should avoid. Of course, in association of devotees, we must hanker for it. Someone who is situated in this prema, someone who is associating with Bhagavan Sri Krishna or Srimati Radharani, we must actually be with them. So this is the aspect of Cheshta Rupa, what we say, which is written. And eventually, what did Raghunath Das Goswami do? He only sat and collected the Mahaprasadam in Jagannath Puri. The mercy of Jagannath Puri's Mahaprasadam comes because of Bimala Devi, as we know. And this Mahaprasadam was so rotten that even cows would not eat it. It would reject it. What would he do? He would take that to his home. He would wash it, that which is not rotten, and he would peel it, and he would take ghee and he would eat it. He would apply salt. Once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this, and he came and he forcibly took it. Raghunath Das Goswami was very, very ashamed. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is the most nectarian prasadam. Why? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desires humility in devotion. Raghunath Das Goswami's bhavam, as Rati Manjari, as we know, in his Leela as Gopi, but as we know that it is to show how Vairagyam should be done, whether as Grahastha or a sannyasi, and we should take example. So this is the aspect, and we see that even by most standards, Raghunath Das Goswami showed exemplary renunciation. We can never try to imitate. And one thing, that after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this pastimes Leela visually, not he is still performing Leela today in Navadip Dham, or even in Jagannath Puri he is coming every day and doing Kirtana. But in the visual world it is not there in our perception. So what did Raghunath Das Goswami do? He decided to go to Vrindavana. Because why? Because when he would go to Gambhira, and eventually when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, so did Sarup Damodara leave, so did Ramananda Raya leave. Raghunath Das Goswami could not felt when he went to Gambhira, his whole body would burn in pain of separation. This is called the Mahabhava, one of the stages which comes. So when he went to Vrindavana, it so happened that he was ready to give his life, but Srila Rupa and Sanatana Goswami pacified him and continued to make sure you engage in these pastimes of Leelas. And he built a bhajan kutir actually by Radha Kund. You know, we are not, as the highest form of bhakti or devotional service is only to actually aspire to do service without giving anything in return. Even in our normal life, if we can aspire to do this with someone or something, whether it is devotees or Bhagavatas, material, that's a different question. But if someone is a devotee or Bhagavata, we can get association, Laghu Matra, even sometimes spend time with them, serve them. Just we serve our Guru, spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada and other stalwart Bhagavatas. You know, just like in a material universe, we can say, if someone has flu, they get infected. Same way, the love of prema will actually flow through the karuna. The karunya is what we say. And kataksham is the glance. It is not just sight. It is a kataksham is called the merciful glance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So we can see how Raghunath Das Goswami was actually engaged constantly in this. And even when he was actually chanting bhajan, he would sit in the sun. He would just drink a small buttermilk cup every day. Such was his advanced state of renunciation. And even Sri Radhe would come and have his veil over him to shield him. But then when Rupa and Raghunath said to him that we shouldn't take service from her, we should serve her. So that's why he built a bhajan kutir. So it shows that when we get instruction from spiritual masters or other people who are elevated, it is for our own mercy they are telling us actually. So we can see how beautiful the pastimes of Raghunath Das Goswami's life is. No few minutes or hour is enough to describe the Leela and pastime. If we can get even little bit of emulation of what he has done, it will actually get us to the merciful grants of Sri Radhika. One of the most beautiful poems or narratives Raghunath Das Goswami has written is called Sri Mukta Charita. What is Mukta Charita? It is actually about pearls. Why pearls? So when Krishna was in Dwaraka, Satyabhama asked him, I have heard this story that pearls in Vrindavana would grow in creepers. Is that true? The moment Sri Krishna looked into Satyabhama's eyes, actually he was overfilled with joy and emotion. Even tears flew out of Krishna's eyes. This is called love for Krishna has for his Bhagavatas, his devotees. This, when I say devotees, we may be aspiring devotees. The gopis are stalwart. He always thinks of them. He said, yes, People think pearls only grow through oysters and other animals. But actually there was a time. So it so happened that in the month of Kartika, Radharani and other gopis were accumulating a lot of pearls actually to decorate the cows and their households and everything. Sri Krishna Chandra, he went to, and he got an idea. I have two cows, Harini and Hamsi. I want to actually decorate them with some pearls. So in his mind, there he summoned his parrot, Vichakshana, and he sent it to Srimati Radharani and the gopis. He said that Sri Krishna wants little bit of pearls to decorate actually his cows. The gopis with lot of ego said, we will not even give him a single pearl, not even one small we will give, no matter whatever he requests, even any wealth he gives. So what did Krishna do? He went to Mother Yashoda and he cried. We know Krishna cries, as we say, Namami Ishwaram Sachidananda Rupam. He cried at that time when mother put him back and he kicked the pot because he was unangry that Mother Yashoda didn't breastfeed him. But actually, this time he was really unhappy. So he got an idea that let me plant the pearls. He took some pearls and he went to his garden and Sri Krishna Chandra poured milk and he planted them. We can understand how soft Sri Krishna's hands are, his feet are. Renur madhuro, Renur madhura, Panir madhura, Pado madhura. With his beautiful feet, Krishna dug up, just like the cow digs up. With his hands and feet, Krishna digs in the soil of Vrindavana and he plants these pearls and he waters them. What does it indicate to us? It shows that patience and nishtha is very important for devotional service actually. It is not like in one day we will advance. And this again Raghunath Das Goswami has shown in his pastime. So all of a sudden eventually the gopis start hearing this, that oh, Krishna is actually putting water, milk into the field. And every time the gopis would go by the side, they would keep laughing. They would laugh at Krishna. They would laugh at his friends. Even his friends did it. Eventually, after some time, some creepers started growing up. And they looked very, very beautiful. They were shining actually. These gopis now, they actually saw this. And they got very, very perturbed. What is this? We said we will not even give him one. And now these creepers look magical. They are actually growing. The pearls have not come out yet. They are actually growing. So what did they do? They went through Nandamukhi, is one of the person, a senior gopi, and she went through Purnamasi. They asked, how is this possible? What did Krishna do to have this? He put pearls in a clay soil, like in Texas we have clay soil. He put pearls in clay soil and he basically did he chant some mantra? So Purnamasi gave the answer that no, it is not about any mantra. He has actually used by devotion and power and everything, he has got it. It is even possible for you guys. So what you should do, you should take all your pearls and actually put lot of clarified butter and ghee and use that with your milk to grow it. All the gopis, including Srimati Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka, all of them started doing this. Actually, every one of them, they started doing this. And after some point, something started sprouting out. But it looked like thorns. It looked like thorns. They completely got worried. They all started getting very concerned. Why? Because they took everything from their home. Their house is now empty, devoid of every pearls, everything. And they actually went there. And now they went to Purnamasi. You tricked us. What have you done here? This is not possible. We did everything what you said. We even poured more ghee and everything, butter. But still, it is not going. So then Purnamasi, they went back and they clarified, no, all Subala and Madhumangala, actually, they basically, what they did is at night, they have come and they have basically upset all your pearls which are supposed to grow. They spoiled your stuff and they threw everything in the Yamuna, and now this is what is there. But now the dilemma has come is all the cowherd husbands and everyone, their fathers, everything is devoid in the home. So they are saying, what are we supposed to do? What should we do? So now this is what happens. So eventually the gopis, they decide to send two of their folks. They actually send, so what Krishna has also done, he has put a big fence around all this garden, because the reason is naturally they are going to come to steal it from him. So Nandamukhi angrily said, these boys have clearly planted. Krishna, the deceiver, has bribed them, especially Madhumangala, and basically, as you know, Madhumangala loves sweets. So he's bribed him and make sure. So then they said, we need to do something to negotiate. So they sent Kanchakalata and Chandramukhi. How can we be saved from our parents' anger? This has gone to, we can't go to Mathura. Mathura, you know, today you can say you can go to Mathura by car in 30 minutes. Those days by a cow or a bullock cart, it will take a couple of hours or even a day, right, with everything. And they can't step back and forth. So Subala, they went to Subala. Subala, you please mediate for us. What price we must do? Well, he said, I'm very soft-hearted. I'm not hard-hearted like you girls. He actually said, because initially they all made fun of Subala and everything. But how do I determine a price actually? Actually, we should know that Raghunath Das Goswami has written Radhika Ashtotara Satanama. And there actually, he actually shows in the different names of Sri Radhika, he says, Subhala Nyasta Sarupya Subhala Priti Toshita Mukhara Drik Sudha Naptri Jatila Drishti Bhasitaha. So Radhika is one who has bestowed a form equal to hers to Subala. And she is actually very fond of Subhala actually. So we can see in this pastime, the mercy always comes to Sri Radhika. So Subala is actually only playing the instrument of what Sri Radhika wants with the gopis. So we can see in this Leela that eventually what happens is we will come to negotiate. So they said, we will at least give this much. Subala said, I cannot ascertain the price of all this. You discuss with your friends what you guys want to give and you come back to us. So Chandramukhi and Kanchakalata returned to Sri Radhika and told with anger what has transpired. All the gopis, Sri Radharani, Sri Lalita, Vishakha, all of them came to this pearl garden where Chandramukhi told Subala, in a friendly spirit, let us not fight anymore. Madhumangala knew, Radhika did not come, Srimati Radharani did not come directly first. Madhumangala knew actually. Even actually it is said that Madhumangala is also very close to Sri Radharani. So Krishna, Subala asks Krishna, how long must Vishapa made? Krishna told, what Vishaka chooses, Radharani will only get the smallest pearl. But she has to pay 4 times the price what everyone pays. This is the trick which Krishna did. So we can see, of course, there is a lot more to this whole pastime. Eventually, Subala opens the pearl basket and he shows them all the pearls. What are these pearls actually? From the creeper of devotional service of Bhakti Laja Beej is what grows. And what is this exactly? If we actually look at it from Bhava Rupaha. So it's called Styahi Bhava Rupa, the permanent sentiment in one of the primary relationships which we know as Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. And in that there is Preman Kurarupa, the sprout of Prema. The pastime of Mukta Charita shows that how when we have actually crossed Cheshta Rupa and we come to Bhava Rupaha, this sprout of prema is what actually comes. The creeper, what we call as Bhakti Lata, devotional service, is what actually Sri Krishna is trying to show. And the mercy is coming through none other than Srimati Radharani. And that prema which is developed, which is called stages like Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Bhava and Mahabhava, which is what Sri Radharani is. So these are the different stages of service. Eventually, this pastime is huge, so cannot describe in 1 hour or so. I know it, but just in interest of time, we will say eventually Krishna bargains with each of the gopis, and they actually receive not just the pearls, they actually receive association of Sri Krishna. That is actually the real pearl, the priceless pearl of devotional service, what Sri Krishna gives. Sri Radhike Namostute, Sri Radhike Namostute, Sri Radhike Namostute, Sri Radhike Namostute. That is actually the real pearl of having devotion to Srimati Radharani, to having to Sri Krishna. We can see that the mercy how Raghunath Das Goswami has given this Leela is for us to emulate. And how he could emulate? Because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu placed his lotus feet on the head of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, there are few marks on the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and of many of them, one is lotus. The lotus is on his right feet, and it is between the third finger on the toe, third finger. It signifies that just as a lotus grows out of water, similarly those eyes will swell with tears when we chant Nityananda and Gauranga Mahaprabhu's name. Again, there is an umbrella. The umbrella is below his toe in the right foot of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And this mark proves that those who take shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Gauranga is shielded from, just like an umbrella shields us, just like Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill. Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are there to actually shield us. And that is what is important. And this is what we should aspire. We should aspire for the feet. We should aspire for association of Bhagavatas, devotees. Spend time with them. Eat prasad with them. Emulate what Raghunath Das Goswami did by bhavam. I mean, this Mukta Charita there is so much emotion to be shared that I cannot do justice in 25-30 minutes. But every instance of emotion between Subala, Madhumangala, Srimati Radharani, Lalita, Vishaka can only make our heart closer to Sri Kalachandji and Sri Radharani. So with all that, I will end today's class. If there is any, I know there is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also's disappearance. Maybe someone will talk tomorrow about it, because tomorrow they speak about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Also, as we know that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's disappearance is also today, who is also one of our 6 acharyas, and his disappearance also is today. And he was also very well blessed, because he was born in a family with Tapanna Mishra. His father got the blessing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and eventually even Raghunath Bhatta Goswami dedicated his life in Vrindavana to studying Srimad Bhagavatam, and our obeisances to all the Goswamis of Sri Vrindavana. So I will end today's class. If any comments or questions, Hare Krishna. Sorry, Madhu. You can use this. Mother, you can use this if...
Haribol. Thank you so much, Vishnu Charan. Beautiful class. Very well thought out and very well planned. My question here is, when Srimati Radharani and her associates begin to plant their pearl trees, why is it? You mentioned that there was a reason for that, and I think I missed it. But why is it their trees produce thorns? Why?
Because the what actually Srimati Radharani and Gopis are trying to show to us is, and it is not that they cannot produce pearls. It is actually for us to know that in devotional service we cannot have ego. It is to us to, it's to educate us. Because the whole pastime is about when Krishna is still a boy and the gopis are elderly women in some sense. So they made fun. So, but again, this is a pastime of Mahabhava between the eternal loving service between Radha and Krishna and the gopis. But it also means to us, and that's why this is so connected to be written by Raghunath Das Goswami, who is epitome of humility, just like Haridas Thakur, that when we plant our devotional service, when we do it, we surrender to it, whether it even anya vilashita shunyam, whether the creeper grows or no, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, aslishyava padaratam pinashtuma, I am only dedicated to you. Even if a thorn comes, even if I go to Naraka, I am your devotee. That is what actually Srimati Radharani is showing to us. So,
good morning, and thank you so much. Like this lady mentioned, it was a real good class. But anyways, I learned that from these stories that do not assume. And then the second point was Shraddha. A lot of people translate Shraddha as faith, but it's stronger than faith. It's conviction. In anything in life that we do or think, whatever, daily life or service to the Lord, conviction is really important. Conviction.
correct. And this, you are right, absolutely. Conviction should be there, and in initial stages, we will get tested. It is not we get tested, it is our karma which tests us, actually. And you're correct. We must have that conviction, and that is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nityananda Prabhu give assurance that you surrender to my feet, you hold it, I will make sure I will pull you up. So that is the conviction.
And then the third point is like ego is destroying everything. A lot of people think, oh, well, they operate with ego. I am so this and that, whatever. But they don't realize, I learned in some scripture that they translated ego as rotten, like something rotten. It's something bad. On a spiritual path, you never get anywhere if you have ego. So get rid of that.
Correct. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you so much.
Okay, I think we can end today's class. So all glories to Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami and Krishnadat Kaviraj Goswami. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srimati Radharani ki jai.